What up, people? Coach V, New Breed Boxing. The first round knockout. The most beautiful, magical, spectacular way to dispatch your opponent. I love first round knockouts. From a fighter's and a coach's perspective, it is the optimal outcome. There's multi-benefits to it. There's a multitude of benefits. Like, number one, it takes the corrupt judges and referees who have played the sport from the amateur and the professional level out of the equation. Now they're just sitting in the crowd, stuck on stupid like the rest of the fans. And it also preserves the fighter. You didn't get any damage. You ran through the guy. I mean, if you barely got touched, you fresh, you can get your man right back in the ring for his next fight. There is no downside to a first round knockout. I implore all you guys out there to try to master the art of the first round knockout and get as many as you can. Get them all like Pokemon. Do what you could do, man. Sky's the limit. I think his name is Tyrone Brunson, has the record for the most first round knockouts. Guy out of Philly. I think he got like 19 in a row in a 6-year run. That's beautiful. That's great. Good for him. How to get the first round knockout, though. There's a lot of mystique that goes around guys that got first round knockouts. Is it their genetics? Is it great matchmaking? Sometimes it's both of those things. But there's also an art to it. And I've learned this from my coach and studying other coaches and just being around the game and them through personal experience. I can tell you that the best way to get a first round knockout is timing and, of course, being early to the game in a few ways, meaning when you get into the arena, you find out exactly what time you're going out. Now, there's a lot of variables depending on when the fight before you ends. You know, you don't know how long these fights are going to end. So if you got, especially like if you're, one of the last fights or whatever, you don't really know exactly when you're going to be fighting, but you want to get as close of an accurate window of time as possible to know when you're going to be fighting. So that's the first thing. You try to find out approximately when you're going to be fighting. You just relax, just chill out. Get in the ring. Get in the arena, stretch out. Get a little bit loose, but don't start warming up. Until you're it's about ready to get into the ring. Now, the key to the two most important keys to getting a first round knockout is making sure that you're properly warmed up. When I say properly warmed up, I mean you got to time your warm up to where when you get to that ring, you're sweating. You have to have sweat on you. Your heart rate has to be elevated, and you have to have a nice sweat worked up. Not to the point where you're overly exerting yourself and you're actually getting tired, not that. You got to work on this every day in the gym. People underestimate the importance of the warm-up. You got to learn how to perfect your warm-up. It's like warming up a race car for a drag race. You can't just get out there with your wheels cold and take off. You're gonna spin out of control. You're not gonna be, not gonna be dialed in. You gotta get that warm-up routine mastered. People overlook stretching and the warming up. I don't get it. It's so important. These little steps, these little things are so critical in getting the most out of your performance. So let's just say, you're fighting at 7 p.m. So whatever, you get into the arena, you start getting everything ready, about an hour beforehand. You start loosely getting everything ready. You got all your stuff laid out. Start getting all situated, getting your hands wrapped up, start warming up. Everybody's a little bit different, you know what I'm saying? But your warm-up routine, between the stretching and the warm-up routine, I personally like to take about 45 minutes to an hour, depending. And right before you hit that ring walk, your heart rate should be perfectly elevated, not overexerting yourself, but perfectly elevated with a great sweat going on. Not sweating profusely, but a nice, good sweat. And when you get to that ring, you're going to be warmed up. Your reflexes are going to be as fast as they can be. Your timing, you know what I'm saying, is going to be right where it needs to be. That's the first thing, okay? Then the target will present the opportunity to you in more than one ways. Number one, if you look across that ring and you see that man, what they call cold, he has no sweat on him, I don't give a shit if he's the fastest guy in the world. his reflexes are going to be slower than yours because you're warmed up, ready to go. He's cold. He ain't ready. If you look across that ring and that man is dry, bone dry, his skin is dry, he's got no sweat, you better jump on him as fast and as hard as you can with a nonstop barrage of bombs until he's out of there. I can almost guarantee you he will be overwhelmed and he won't know what to do. He's not gonna have the reflexes. It's not there. It's not warmed up. Another thing to keep in mind, from the technical perspective of the sport, even if he is a little warmed up and he's still in the fight and he's still fighting back and holding his own a little bit, if you keep the pressure on him, if your first assault doesn't work, re-engage from another angle, do it again. Keep pressing that first round. That whole first round, you should be pressing the shit out of the action. Full throttle, pedal to the metal, trying to get him up out of there. If you can land, every referee is different, as we all know, depending on how corrupt they are basically at this point. Most of them are, they already have their mind made up who's gonna win. And it's up to you to make sure that that's just not the outcome. So if you can land a good 10 punches on somebody without them answering, and you could throw 10 punches in 2 seconds, literally, if you're in shape and you're on top of your game. If you can land like 8 to 10 punches in a row, good clean punches, say you got somebody on the rope, you start pop, 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 start working them, body, head, body, left, right, left. You just jump on them, they're gonna stop the fight on a TKO. I've seen a lot of guys, they weren't even hurt, but it's a safety issue. If they don't answer and they don't respond and they're not throwing back within a certain amount of clean punches being landed on them, the referee has to stop the fight, like it or not. It's indisputable, okay? So again, you make sure you warmed up good, make sure your heart rate is where it needs to be, you got a good sweat going, you did some good pad work a little bit, you got nice and loose, make sure your distance is good, your timing is good, your accuracy is good. You get out there, when that bell rings, you get across that ring as smooth and quickly as possible. You don't gotta run across the ring if you wanna do that. I guess it looks cool, people like that, if you actually accomplish your mission. Otherwise, you just look like, you look a little crazy. But if you can get across that ring as quickly as possible and start making contact with your opponent and start doing damage to him, because you're not in this for points. Now, the first round knockout is not about points. Although, yeah, you wanna keep the volume high so that you still got that backup and that insurance. But if you jump on them quick enough, and like I said, you can land a good 8 to 10 clean shots in a row, you got them on the ropes, maybe you got off to a slow start, the referee's gonna stop it on technicality, on TKO, technical knockout. And he's gonna go, oh, what happened? I'm good. He's not gonna even be hurt. He's gonna be mad. He's gonna throw his mouthpiece into the crowd. He's gonna be all pissed off. But guess what? Check the box, buddy, you won. And he lost. Game over. And you would be surprised at how many guys that have more experience than you that may underestimate you, especially when you're new. You don't ever be in awe of somebody's record or who their coach is or any of that shit. Because I can't tell you how many times we went up against people that their coach was some world famous guy that was, a legend in his, in his era and this and that, and we smoked them in less than a minute, ran through them like nothing. Don't ever be in awe. If you're in the ring with somebody else, you are both equals at that time, regardless of the difference in experience or physicality, whatever the case may be. But this is, especially for my new guys, use your work ethic and your strength to your advantage, man, and use that explosiveness and the physicality to your advantage. If the guy's got way more experience than you, the longer the fight goes on, the worse it's gonna be for you. One of my favorite examples of that is Trinidad when he fought Mayorga, I think it was Mayorga. Trinidad was getting off to a slow start and Mayorga was just catching him. He's an explosive, quick guy, very bad sloppy technique, but he's quick and he's a hard puncher. And he was catching him. And he could have turned it up on him if he would have kept the pressure on him. And Trinidad landed a couple shots and he started trading punches with him and getting all brave and going toe-to-toe with him. The fight went the distance. Trinidad's a better boxer. You already know how that ends. Don't let the other boxer get into the fight. That's basically what I'm getting at. If the guy's got more experience than you, do not let him get into the fight. Yeah, you know, he knows a lot of tricks, but you gotta just overcompensate, you know, your lack of experience with just brute force, toughness, and explosiveness, and a solid work ethic and a volume and a barrage of punches that's gonna just turn it into a shootout instead of a chess match. Hope you found this informative. Like, subscribe, comment, and we just hit 6,000 subscribers. Still growing. Thank y'all. Appreciate the support. Put some comments in the comment section about some great first round knockouts that you've seen in your, you know, in your time spectating the sport, or if you actually are a fighter that's gotten some great first round knockouts. Put the link of your footage in there, and go check out my Instagram, coach.v_. Till the next time, we up out of here. Ow.